Imagine it's the 8th century. A massive, seemingly unstoppable storm is brewing in the west, and it's heading straight for India, swallowing up kingdom after kingdom. But then, out of the rugged hills of Rajasthan, an unexpected hero rises up to become a shield against that storm. Okay, let's dive into the story of Bapa Rawal. To really understand the legend of Baba Rawal, we first have to get a sense of the sheer scale of the force he was up against. This wasn't just another small raid, this was the expansion of a global empire at the peak of its power. Just look at this timeline for a second. The momentum is just incredible. The Umayyad Caliphate is sweeping across continents, from Spain to North Africa. Then, in 712 AD, they make their first major move into the subcontinent, conquering Sind. And it doesn't stop there. By the 730s, their armies are pushing deep into the Indian heartland, sacking cities and just steamrolling local rulers. To anyone watching, it must have looked completely unstoppable.
Now, what's so powerful about this quote is who it's from. This isn't an Indian account talking about their struggle. No, this is from a 9th century Arab historian, al-Biladuri. He's describing the overwhelming success of their own campaigns in India, basically saying things were so dire for the local kingdoms, it felt like there was nowhere left to run.
But against this very backdrop of invasion and what must have felt like impending doom, a response was quietly taking shape in the Aravalli Hills, and it came in the form of a young man with a really tragic past and, while a pretty powerful destiny, a prince in hiding named Kalbhoj.
So here's the thing. Kalbhoj wasn't raised in some lavish palace. His father, the king, was killed when he was just a toddler. To keep him safe, the young prince was hidden away. He actually grew up among the Bil tribes, learning the ways of the hills, mentored not by court officials, but by a spiritual sage named Harit Rishi. This upbringing would shape everything. And that spiritual mentorship led to this really unique concept that defined his entire rule. See, Kalbhoj never saw himself as the ultimate boss. Instead, he governed as the Diwan, think of it as a prime minister, on behalf of the real sovereign, the deity Eklinji. This idea of being a spiritual steward, not just a king, became the bedrock of the Mewar dynasty for centuries.
So, at just 21 years old, he makes his move. He seizes the incredibly strategic fortress of Chittorgarh from his own uncle. This was the turning point. In one move, the shepherd prince becomes a king with a capital city, a power base from which he could finally turn and face that storm from the west.
And face it, he did. This victory at Chittorgarh set the stage for what would become his greatest achievement, leading a united front against the Arab invasion in the absolutely pivotal Battle of Rajasthan.
So on one side, you have the might of the Umayyad Caliphate, a single, massive empire with a professional, battle-hardened army. And on the other, you have this patchwork of smaller Indian kingdoms. But Bapa Rawal didn't try to fight alone. That was his genius. He forged a powerful confederation with other rulers like Nagabata I. They pooled their forces and, maybe most importantly, used their intimate knowledge of the rugged terrain to outmaneuver the invaders. And the result was, well, it was astonishing. The Confederacy didn't just win, they absolutely routed the Arab army. It was so decisive that it effectively slammed the door shut on any major invasion from that direction for the next 400 years. This one battle literally changed the course of Indian history.
But here's the thing about Bapa Rawal. He wasn't just content with playing defense. His victory became the launchpad for building a legacy that would echo for generations to come.
He didn't just stop them at the border and call it a day. No way. He chased the retreating forces all the way back to the Indus River and kept going. He actually marched into modern-day Afghanistan, defeated the ruler of Ghazni, and then set up a network of military outposts to create a strategic buffer zone. He turned defense into offense. And get this for an example of his lasting impact. The major city of Rawalpindi in Pakistan, it's widely believed that it started as one of these military pins or outposts, and that it was named directly after Rawal himself. Think about that for a second. A modern city still carrying the name of an 8th century Indian king. So we've been calling him Bapa Rawal this whole time. But as we know, his birth name was Kalbhoj. So where did this famous name actually come from? Let's unpack the history a little bit. It really is the key question, isn't it? Was this his given name, a nickname, or something else entirely?
Well, the scholarly consensus is that Baba Rawal was almost certainly an honorific title, not a birth name. Baba is a term of respect. It means father, reflecting his role as a protector, and Rawal was a royal title. So the name he's remembered by is actually one he earned through his incredible actions and leadership.
All right, so to wrap all this up, let's distill the immense legacy of Kalboj, the man everyone came to call Baba Rawal, into 5 crucial takeaways.
First, he was the great unifier, bringing people together when it mattered most. Second, he was the shield, the one who decisively stopped the invasion. Third, he was a founder, establishing the legendary Mewar dynasty. Fourth, he was the steward, ruling with a unique sense of divine duty. And finally, number 5, he was a strategist who secured India's frontier not just for his lifetime, but for centuries.
And that just leaves us with one final massive thought. Baba Rawal's victory was a hard stop to what looked like an inevitable tide of history. So it really makes you wonder, what might the map, the culture, the entire story of the Indian subcontinent look like today if that 8th century shield had broken?